So here we go. Hello there. Hi there. Thank you so much for joining us here at Beautiful Faces Going Places Women's Success Network. We are an online chamber of commerce to support women in business, small business owners, speakers, trainers, coaches, and experts interested in visibility, education, and connections. And I'm so excited as we're here today for a very special virtual networking session here. And I'm excited to introduce our host. But before I do so, I just want you to know that all of our upcoming events and all of our programs and our members are listed on our website at beautifulfacesgoingplaces.com. So if you are catching the live stream, yay. If you're not, you can always catch the replay as well on our YouTube channel. But I invite you to come and join us. And I'm just excited to co-host this special event with our fabulous Lissa Figgins. Lissa is your Simplified Focus Life Coach. To do less, live more, be purpose. Lissa, as your Simplified Life Coach, Lissa loves supporting 40+ women entrepreneurs like you to design a life that focuses on living, being purposed in the 7 key areas so that you can do less, live more, and be purpose, right? She helps her clients clarify their life purpose, simplify your future, their life vision, identify your daily life plan, and together align your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions so that you can experience a life that you love right now. Please help me welcome Lissa Figgins.
Thank you. Thank you. I am so excited to be here, and I'm more excited that you guys are here with me. So I literally less than a week ago stepped off a plane from spending 3 weeks on the other side of the world. We spent about half that time in Central Asia in a country called Tajikistan, which most people look at me and say, where in the world is that? It's just north of Afghanistan, which you've all heard of. And then we spent about a week in Montenegro with some close friends of ours. And what was really interesting to me was that when I went to the other place in the world, I noticed that women still craved the same 3 things. They craved connection, they craved the ability to communicate, right? To be able to share and to be heard, and then also to listen. And they craved community. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. And here's what I found really interesting. They are very intentional about that connection and that community. And you know what they do it over? A cup and saucer. So this is what a cup and saucer looks like from Tajikistan. Notice it does not have a handle. And you would be filling your cup with chai, with tea, several times a day. Like we're talking 3 to 4 times a day at least. And then when we spent our time in Montenegro, we literally would pull off the road for coffee breaks 3 to 4 times a day. So what I loved was they know the value of community, and they know the value of pushing pause in the midst of a busy life and the endless demands and all the things that are going on in our world, to take time just to connect with somebody else over a cup of something and some coffee. And so I want you to think about today as being like, this is our virtual coffee, right? That we're going to come together, we're going to communicate who we are and what we're about. We're going to connect with others who are also, living and growing and all of those things. And we're going to talk about the value of community. So we want to start this off by getting to know who you are. And so we asked you to come prepared to be able to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, how you serve others, whatever you want us to know about you in 60 seconds or less, so that we can make some introductions and get to know you. So I'm just going to kind of go around the Brady Bunch screen that I see in front of me just to make it easy, if that's okay with you guys. So Michelle, we'll start with you, and then Kristen, you'll be up next after Michelle.
Okay, thank you, Lissa. So my name is Michelle Zanasek. I am a virtual assistant. I help clients with email marketing, sales funnels, online courses, website maintenance. I also started an online help desk to help business owners who are trying to do it themselves when it comes to tech and these online software platforms we're using. And maybe they get stuck on an issue and they're not sure how to get past it. And so that's where my help desk comes in. we get on Zoom and I walk you through how to get past it, and then you can move on and finish whatever it is you're working on. So I live in Southeast Wisconsin, and I live here. I'm college-age kids, and also have my parents here, caregiving for them. So it's obviously a very full life, and I love joining these type of calls and learning about other women across the country and around the world.
I'm muted. I love that this can connect us. So thank you, Michelle. Let me just say this too. Go ahead and you guys feel free to drop your contact info in the chat after you introduce yourself. So that way, you know, we have an easy way to kind of see a name and, you know, and whatever is the best way to contact you. At the end, I will put the link to a Google Drive that I've created. I know Carol talked about the fact that anyone who's a member has their contact information on the Beautiful Faces Going Places website. But some of us who are here are not members and are just checking things out. And I like to be able to make connections, you know, anytime. So I've got a Google Drive that whenever I do a networking event, I open it up. If you want to put your contact info in there, you can. And then anyone else who comes in afterwards will have access to that as well. So I'll put that at the end. Okay. All right. So Kristen, go ahead. And then Ambila, you'll be next.
So my name is Kristen. I actually live in Toronto, Canada, and I have actually been in the wellness industry for the past 28 years. And the past 16 years, I have been a holistic nutritionist, or I am a holistic nutritionist. And really, essentially what I do is I help individuals, but especially women. But I do have worked with male clients as well, and males as well, but helping you to age backwards, reclaim your youthful energy, which of course we all know we need more youthful energy, and really help to prevent chronic disease, because our world is, you know, the way it is, as we all know. I don't have to say any more about that. And it really is important for us to get back to the basics, get back to the foundations, because there's so much overwhelming information out there. And I believe that we have to keep things simple. And when we do that, you will start to feel better. And when we create those habits around your wellness, everything changes. And as entrepreneurs, we really need to take care of ourselves, which will help us to show up more powerfully in our business. And we will attract the people that we're supposed to attract. But if we're not showing up, you know, that bright light and feeling great, we're not going to, because that energy goes out and we attract that back. So that's me.
Sorry, Lisa, I wasn't sure if you were going to step in there. Hi, my name's Ambila. As Carol said, I am new to the group. I'm a spiritual business coach. I'm also a tarot reader, energy healer. So I combine logic strategies with spiritual strategies and helping people to upscale and grow their businesses. I help with mainly to do with manifestation. Due to my psychic intuitive abilities, I am able to see where people's blocks are. So not just offering people logical strategies to move life, business forward, but I'm also looking at where they're blocked and what's stopping them and helping them. I was going to use the word educating, but I'm actually guiding and helping them to move past that while eliminating the blocks that are stopping them physically, emotionally, that could be to do with recent events or could be due to lifetimes of things going on. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm in the UK. Probably the only one in the UK today.
Fantastic. I'm sure you love a good cup of tea then there as well. So
yes.
Good. Glad you joined us. Jane, we'll have you go next, and then Lisa, and then Erin. So
okay, I'm Jane Eggerdine, and I am fairly new to Beautiful Faces Going Places. And you know, I am an insurance agent. I really enjoy working with people to help them figure out what they need, what they want, and what works in their budget. And it's so interesting. We all like to help each other. We all do different things, but I just, you know, I was reading a book, a sales type of book, and a true salesperson is someone who doesn't necessarily want to make the commission, but they want to build a relationship and help someone. And that's what we're all saying. So, you know, I've been in the business. This is going to be my 31st year, but I just don't care. You always learn something. It's like, I should be submitting an app. And I'm like, no, I'm going to, because you always learn something. And it's just really interesting that, Carol, you can pull us all together. And I just didn't realize how different areas everyone would be. It's great. It is great. And the fact that the women, the country you were in, they have their cups of coffee. And, you know, some of us are guilty of not doing that as much as we should, but we're here. So anyway, I really enjoy what I do. I like to help people, and if anyone needs help, please contact me.
Fantastic. And thank you to those who've been putting your contact info in the chat. So yes, Jane, make sure you drop that in there so that we can do that. Okay, sorry, Lisa.
Okay. Hi, I'm Lisa Jean, and I live in St. Louis, Missouri. And I help people organize their messy closets and their messy basements, and we get it all beautiful and tidy. So my company is called Tidy Upgrade, and I am certified by Marie Kondo. I'm the only one in the St. Louis area with that certification, but I have met Marie and been a consultant for her for the last 5 years. So that is pretty exciting, but I am all about the whole person. It's a very holistic approach that Marie and I both espouse, and that is to really look into the person's ideal life and then help them step into that life through the process of tidying their home. It's like your stuff is just weighing on you, and we lift that off together, and that frees you to be able to live the amazing life that you're called to.
That's powerful stuff. I might need to look you up for my closets.
Yeah, I do virtual sessions for sure.
And it probably would have to be, since I am in California. My name is Erin. I have recently stopped being paid full-time by an external company and gone full-time mama and started a leadership business. That's what my graduate degrees are in. And I love leadership. It's also exceptionally hard. And so when people either start out or aren't trained well with leadership, which the crux of it is a relationship, how to run a relationship well, how to be intentional about building relationships, it makes life unnecessarily hard, not only for the leader, but those that are with the leader. So my organization is called With Leadership, the idea being with. So it's a collaboration between the leader and the follower. And I'm actively writing a book that recently has divulged into 2 books. We'll see how that works. And I'm trying to do the whole full-time mama thing with my 2 little boys. And I'm loving life right now. I have to say it's a gift. It's nice to be here with you.
So fun, and so fun to hear that it's coming into 2 books already, because she's been working on this project for a while and moving towards this big transition. So excited for you, Erin. George, I know you've been kind of popping in and out a little bit. Are you in a place where you're able to introduce yourself? Him. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on, just because I noticed that he was popping in and out, so it might not be, the best connection. So I'll just take a minute and introduce myself before we dive into talking a little bit more about community. And it's just really been so interesting, like Jane pointed out, how all of us are coming from such different backgrounds, and yet there are so many things that are so much in common, right? And that's what I love. And really where my focus is around how women spend their time and energy. Because did you know that most women underestimate how much of your precious time and energy you give away to less important things? And really it's for one reason, because we don't focus on what matters most. And so what I do as a Simplified Focus Life Coach is I teach women a simple system to break free from the endless demands and the distractions. I don't know about you guys, but it feels like there's always something coming in, whether it's via a screen or a person or you know, my inbox or my phone or whatever, there are always things competing for my attention. And it's very easy to get caught up in all the things, right? And then the things that you really want to see happen, the things you really want to see grow, the things you really want to invest in don't get the best of you. And so what we do is we break free from all of that in a way that we're not wasting our precious resources on things that don't matter, but we're really able to invest ourselves where it counts. Right. And what I love is that in this process that women discover that when they actually do less, because I think our tendency, right, is, oh, I have to do more, right? More as a mom, more as a wife, more as a business owner, more as a coach, more as a fill in the blank, right? Whatever it is. And we think that's the answer to creating this life that we truly love. And yet the answer really lies in doing less, right? Doing less of the things that don't matter so that we can live more of the things that do. So if that resonates with you, I love sharing resources and tools and support to really come alongside women and do that. And, you know, and I truly believe as we transition into talking about community that we were not created to do this thing alone, right? How many of you, when left to yourselves, you rock it, like you're on top of everything and you're super consistent and you've got all the, you know, everything rolling just like it should. Your priorities are boom, boom, boom. Anybody like, yep, 100% consistent all by themselves? Probably not. You know, like left to ourselves, oftentimes, what do? We cut corners, we let ourselves off the hook, we make excuses, we get in our own way, we quietly quit, or we never even start, right? And so there is such value in community. And that's what I want to talk about today is what place does this have, not only in our personal growth, but also because each one of us is here, we've got some kind of a business that we're growing as well, and some kind of way that we want to impact the world. And we can't do that alone. So recently I ran across this quote that I really liked, and I actually kind of tweaked it a little bit because there was one word in there that didn't quite resonate with me, but it said, here's the quote says, every person is defined by the communities she belongs to. Let me say that again. Every person is defined by the communities she belongs to. I like to change the word defined into shaped, because I think that, you know, it's maybe not what defines us, but it's what shapes us. But let me just throw that out there real quick and just kind of get your feedback on that. Do you agree or disagree with the statement that every person is defined or shaped by the communities that she belongs to? Go ahead and unmute. It doesn't have to be everybody, just kind of curious, or you can drop it in the chat. What are your thoughts on that?
So I would say that we are the average of the 5 people that we hang around the most. So definitely.
Yeah. We hear that quite often, don't we?
Agree. There's actually research on neurology that I recently discovered that in a relationship, your brain actually physically changes as you interact with people. So for sure, community shapes.
Yeah. So fascinating, right? Did you know? So speaking of research and statistics, if you have an obese friend, you are 57% more likely to put on extra weight. Wow. You know, that's just, you know, and it can be in an area of weight, it can be an area of income, it can be an area of impact, you know, it can be just in how you look and dress and things like that, right? But so oftentimes we become like, well, you said that we become like the people that we're spending time to. So that's a good thing if they're going in the direction that you want to go, right? What we have to be careful of is who are we surrounding ourselves with, and what, you know, are they going in that direction? And yes, there'll be some people in our life that, you know, are in our life, but are not necessarily going in that direction, but intentionally creating community with people who are going to help us to become who it is that we're wanting to become. So we're not swimming upstream alone. Right. So it can be very disheartening when everybody else is going this way. Right. And we're the one fish that's going that way. And so sometimes we got to find that school of fish who's going in that same direction. So have you guys heard the story of the 2 acorns? I've got 2 acorns sitting here by my desk that I keep out to remind me of this story. So the story is told of 2 acorns, right? And one of them got put in the pocket of the home where it was at. And the other one got put in the ground. And it was covered up with dirt and it was outside. And over time, this one got sunshine and air and water, right? And all the nutrients from the soil. And this other one was inside this pocket. What do you think the difference was between those 2 acorns, like 3 days after that? Do you think there was much difference between those 2? No, probably not much at all, right? Nothing visible that you could see. But if you were to start looking 3 weeks, maybe even 3 months, you're going to start seeing some differences. And guess what? 3 years from then, right? This one had now, started growing into a tree while this other one was still in the dark, right? Was still hanging out in that pocket. And, and if you follow that, 30 years, 300 years, right down the road, there's going to be a huge difference between those two acorns because of the environment that they were planted in. Right. And so that's why it's so important to make sure that we are in communities that are creating an environment that's conducive to our growth. And I've been having conversations with women lately about just what life feels like lately. And, so often I'm hearing I'm buried by all the things, whether it's home or business or just personal things, or maybe feeling scattered, like, little pieces of me are going in 100 different directions and nobody's really getting the best of me or all of me, or just distracted, like, yep, I'm heading in one direction and then squirrel, right? And then I head over here and then this comes up and I get this message and I'm headed over here. And, and so sometimes it's all over the place, right? And here's the next question I would ask. I asked them the question I asked you, like, on your own, how do you do, right? How consistent are you at being able to stay focused on what matters most? And I can tell you, no one has said, yep, that's the best place for me. But every single one of them, when I said, what makes the biggest difference for you? They mentioned community and they mentioned accountability, right? Because when we've got others around us who are also growing in that same direction that we're growing, when we're in the environment and there's, think about that acorn that had all those other mature trees around it, right? We start dreaming bigger, we start thinking bigger, we start doing bigger. And then what happens on those days when you don't feel like it? We start showing up bigger, right? Because we've got someone else to remind us of what we said mattered and what we said we wanted and what we said we wanted to do. And we've got other people that can push us and challenge us to maybe take things to the next level, so that we can really see a lot of growth. And so today I'm just kind of created some discussion questions for us just to talk about this whole idea of community and how it impacts us, and thinking about what kind of communities we are already a part of, right? And what value there is in that. And what kinds of communities, what kinds of things we're looking for in community that are going to help take us to that next level, right? So I want to come back to that first one. And because we're kind of a smaller group, let's see, how many people do we have in here, Carol? I'm trying to decide if we should stay in one big group or if we want to separate. I lost my gallery view, so I need to, there we go. 1, 2.
I would love to see us stay in one big group here.
Okay, yeah, we can totally do that. So we've taken a minute to go around and share and introduce ourselves, but we have had a couple people that popped in since we started that. So before we go into questions, I want to give Natalie and then Sherry a minute to just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you, where you're coming from, what you do, what impact you're making in the world, how you serve others, and then we'll dive into some questions on community. So Natalie, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. Just a little late to the party today. Have two things on my plate, but that's okay. I'm here. Hi, I'm Natalie Reeder. I am a holistic wellness advisor and created a place called A Niche of Nature, where as there's niches we need to focus on so we're not being jack of all, ace of none. But in my circle of what I'm doing, I provide support for your niche of need. And so it's that I have many things within my toolkit, from aromatherapy and working with herbs and some of those natural things, to looking at nutrition, looking at the kind of nutritional plan we're on, where those areas of challenge for us, and helping people identify those root causes to get to the solutions, helping people become their advocate for their wellness, and providing that information, because there's so much out there, but taking away all the junk so that people can really filter in on the information they need to make the decisions they want to live their best selves. So I enjoy doing classes, one-on-one consults, just enjoy that opportunity, and collaborating with others in the area too, in the area of wellness, because we know lots of people need to hear what we have to share, and we can have so much more to offer when we partner with others, because we bring that whole circle of support for individuals. So a little bit about me. I'm here in Westchester, Ohio, which is the southwest corner of Ohio.
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. And go
Yeah.
ahead and drop your contact information in the chat.
Will do.
Everybody's dropping it in there. At the end, like I said, I will post a Google Drive link if you want to put it in an outside source where other people can access it even beyond this meeting. So I'll put that at the end. But for now,
Perfect.
go ahead and drop it in there and make sure we
right.
save it before we leave.
Great.
Okay, Sherry, so glad you're here. Take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us about who you are, what you're doing, and why you're here.
Hi, thank you, Lisa, for inviting me. I didn't see Carol's email till just now. I couldn't figure out how to get into the event. So sorry for being late. I am located in Pompano Beach, Florida, and my company is Your Wellness Redefined. I am a functional nutrition coach. So I help people, busy professionals, pull away from the inflammation and pain that's attacking their body so they can live a fulfilling life of joy and purpose. And yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Well, we are glad that you are here for our virtual cup of chai or coffee. I was sharing about my travels that I've had recently, and we're just taking today to unplug. Yep, whatever you're sipping on today. We're taking today to unplug, right? To disconnect from the busyness, from the hustle and bustle. And I don't know about you guys, but if you look at the calendar, we're less than a month away from Thanksgiving. We're less than 2 months from Christmas and 3 months from the New Year. So it can be easy to get swept in there and let a lot of things kind of, fall to the side. And so we want to be intentional today and do this inside community, because I truly believe this is what helps us to grow in that. So let me go ahead and drop the first set of questions in the chat, and then I will read them out loud once I get them in there. Okay. So for some reason, it's got a different picture that it's showing here. So just so you know, it is me. I'm just somehow it logged me in and it's a different account. So, okay. So here's what we want to talk about. Back in the beginning, and for those of you who joined us a little bit after the fact, we started off with a quote. Let me read this quote again. It says, "Every person is defined," or I like to insert the word shaped, "by the communities she belongs to." Every person is defined by the community she belongs to. So what I want to start with is talking about what are 1 to maybe 3 words at the most that you want to define you, and how would belonging to the right community help you become that? So I always ask thought-provoking questions. I don't like to ask easy questions. And I know this is kind of like wow, Lissa, like I might need some time to think about it. So don't overthink it, but I want you to take a minute and think about what are 1, 2, or 3 words that you would like to define you, and how can being in the right community help you become that? As we've talked a little bit about what community does, as you think about maybe your experiences in communities in the past, how could community help with that? So I'll give you a minute just to think first, and then we won't necessarily go in any certain order. So it'll just be kind of a unmute yourself and pop in. And we want to have this to be a lot of back and forth conversation going on.
I guess I'll start.
That'd be great. Thanks.
So authentic, supportive, and compassionate.
Anything specific about one of those that really, like, why are those words that resonate with you?
Well, that's my personality. And I care about my clients. So I show up authentically to take care of them with compassion and caring and support.
Love that. I'm guessing that as other people are hearing those words, authentic, supportive, compassionate, anybody else, could you add any of those to your list? Somebody else, what are some words that you'd add to our list?
So I would say mine have been inspiring, authentic as well, and encouraging.
I'm taking notes just so I can remember what we were talking about. Anything particular about those that are one of those that you want to share?
Authentic, because I think it's important for us to be real. I mean, there's so much fakeness out there. So I think that people need to see the real, right? Encouraging, that's one of the gifts that I believe that God has placed on me, is I want to encourage people, and I want to see other women, especially men too, but especially in our community of women, I want to see women shine and be bigger and show up, even if they're scared, and be supportive in that. And then, yeah, with that comes being an inspiration. So me walking in a place of, there's always something that maybe is more fearful. And so if I'm doing that, I'm giving permission to other people, other women that maybe feel the same. And, that inspires them and that encourages them to do that as well. So.
Love that. Yeah. Cause it always has a ripple effect, right? This is not just the words I'm hearing so far are not just self-serving, right? There are things that are going to allow us to have a bigger impact on others around us. So thank you for sharing. Somebody else, any of those words resonate with you, or other ones you want to add to our list?
I'm going to add growth, ambition, and grounding, or grounded.
Okay. Love those. Anything you want to share about those? So you said growth, ambitious, and grounding.
Yeah. So basically, it is self-serving, but it's also self-serving for my clients as well, because I want to see them grow. I want to help them with their ambitions, but at the same time, I'm keeping them grounded in that process of change. So, and keeping them real and authentic. And then it all applies to me too.
I love that. Yes. And when we're grounded, right, then we can better serve others. Think about that tree, right? If that acorn didn't put down its roots in the ground and really get its solid foundation, would it be able to give the shade, right, to the kid who went and sat under it, or the tree fort space, years down the road? No, it had to have that foundation in there. So I love that. It can be self-serving, but in a way that's going to lead towards service, right? Which is beautiful. Somebody else, what would you add?
The word that I would add is courageous.
Okay. Tell us about that, Michelle.
Well, I think, we all experience fear, things that we want to do, and fear holds us back. And it's having that courage to step out in faith and do what it is that we are afraid to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we can have all these great things inside of us, right? So remember the acorn that went in my pocket. This was the opposite of that, right? And because this one didn't have the courage, or the person who had it in their hand didn't have the courage to put it in the right place, none of the stuff that was inside was going to grow. Here's the interesting thing. I kind of forgot to tell in the story. When you think about those two acorns, so Michelle, thanks for bringing this back up. When you think about those two acorns, right? This one is the one that went, in the ground, got all the things it needed, had the community of trees around it. And there's a whole lot of research around there's a whole, I gotta go back and look at the name of this book, but it's about trees and the community that trees build and how they help each other grow. It's really fascinating looking at the science of it. But anyway, you look at these two acorns, the one that went in the right environment with all the trees around it and the one that went in the pocket. Guess what? Both of these had everything they needed inside of them to become a beautiful, huge oak tree. They both already had it inside, right? The difference was putting themselves in that right environment. And like Michelle talked about, having the courage, right, to step out and to allow the things that were already inside to come out. And I think our environment, the communities that we plant ourselves in, are what can help draw that out. So thanks, Michelle. I had forgotten to tell that part of the story at the end there. Anybody else?
I have a couple to add in. It's kind of amazing. We have many of the same words, but as we think of that too, the layering in of all the things that we are, I added in enthusiastic, compassionate, and devoted, from the aspect that sometimes we need to be their cheerleader. Clients that I've worked with have felt so burdened, or there's no way I can change this. It's like my life sentence, or, they've been told so many things for so long that they seem to think there's no way to change this. And so letting them know I'm not leaving them. Life will get in our way, but I'm always here, that kind of thing, that I'm here to see them through. Being their cheerleader, finding that enthusiasm, that if we can face off those things that like to pull us back, we do that 2 steps forward, one step forward, 2 steps back, to get past that and to realize, yes, you can. We have to put an eye on that prize and, find those things that cheer us on to move us through, and doing that with compassion, because either messages that they've been told, or circumstances that they've lived under really can lock people into feeling that that's all there is. And so we really have to help them get through that journey, that sometimes it's not about just the individual coaching or support we bring from each of our things, but helping people let go of those things that are holding them back. And sometimes that's the hardest part of the journey, is helping them let go so that the things that we have to offer can really flourish and benefit them in the ways that we know. But until they have figured that out, it's really, tough to move them forward. So enthusiastic and compassionate and devoted.
Ah, those are fantastic words. I'm making a list here, you guys, right? You're the kind of people I want to have in my world, because I get so inspired and encouraged. And Natalie, what I heard you say was really a cool thing too. Not only are you like planting yourself in environments where you could get that, right? But you're creating that kind of environment for other people, right? For your clients, for the people that you're serving. And each one of us is serving others in some way, whether it's through insurance, or whether it's through cleaning closets, or whether it's through health, or whether it's through virtual, tasks that we're doing. There's so many different things that we are doing, and the environment we create for the people we serve is going to make a big difference in their growth, as well. So I love that reminder. Fantastic. Anybody else have any other words that you want to throw in the circle?
I do. I think, and I don't know you ladies, but I think everyone is honesty. You have to be honest with people. You have to get that credibility. And even if you don't say what people want to hear, they need to know the honest truth. So, and I think that's a huge part of caring too. You have to be honest, and be knowledgeable and consistent, but that's just as important. So, but all those other ones were great, ladies.
Yeah, no, I love that, right? Because if we're not being honest, then we're not truly growing, right? It's the facade, right? I think about my fake plants. So here's a fake plant behind me because I don't have good sunlight in here. So this thing's never going to grow beyond what it already looks like, right? You can see me 20 years from now, my plant is still going to look the same because it's not real. But when we are authentic and real, we can keep growing. So love that. Okay, Carol, go.
Yes, I would love to add some words to this growing, beautiful list of inspirational words. And for me, it's about being fearless and taking that imperfect action, no matter what, is, getting up, dressing up, showing up, and just being you, right? Being genuine, authentic you. And the other word is support. We all need that support network. And I always say, surround yourself with brilliance, other people who are going to lift you up and inspire you to take that imperfect action and support you along your journey. So those were the words that came to my mind. So fearless, genuine, heart, authentic, support, connections, imperfect action. Whew.
Woo. Right? Yeah. Anyone else who hasn't had a chance to share anything you want to throw in there?
I'll add leadership, because authenticity was my first word, which everybody seems to have a variation of, which is hugely valuable. And leadership is something I am deeply interested in and want to be known for and by to provide to others.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
Also faith, actually, I should have said that first. Faith is how I choose to look at life through that lens. And it's hugely helpful because then it's outside of me and it's not me pulling myself up by my bootstraps. So it's easier to be authentic because then you have a fail safe, if you will.
Yeah. You have a bigger purpose, right? There's something bigger than just you and how you feel in the moment. Because let's be honest, there are days we wake up or there are times in the middle of our day when we may not feel like being some of the things that are on this list, right? Because it takes intention and it takes some work and it takes sometimes doing things that other people are not, willing to do. And that bigger purpose, you're right. Faith is that bigger purpose that gets us going, keeps us going, right? When sometimes we don't feel it. So, okay, I felt something as we were going. Did you guys feel this? Like as we were building this list, as we were connecting, as we were communicating, as we were building community here, how did you start feeling yourself inside about the things that we were talking about? Did you notice something in just kind of the vibe inside our tribe over the past 15 minutes when we were sharing those things? What did you notice?
I've got to just say, I was feeling inspired by each and every one of your voices, and hearing the words and the excitement and the enthusiasm and why you've chosen those words really kind of just spilled into me, if you will. And I started, evolving with those words as well. So thank you for the impact and inspiration.
Yeah. Okay. So I heard inspiration. I heard evolving.
A resonance.
Yeah. Right. And so that may, with resonance, it may be like, yeah, I feel that way too. It just kind of like even like builds that up even more, something that's already inside of you. Right? Because you could have sat in your own offices or wherever you are today, right, and made this list all by yourself. But I don't think that you'd be feeling the same way about that list as you are right now, because there's such value in doing things inside community, right? Like you said, hearing other people, hearing the passion in their voice, hearing their faith, hearing their conviction, hearing their courage, hearing, all those things, it really sparks that inside of us and fuels our fire, right? And I think really helps to take us to that next level in whatever it is that we're doing. So I want to, kind of come to that second question then. We've thrown out a bunch of words as to, what words we want to define us, right? So how would, belonging to, the right kinds of communities, and I'll just say there are no perfect communities, right? We all know that we live in a broken world filled with broken people. And so even when we come together, there will be, there will be things that, can get in the way. But how can being in community help you become these things even more? What's the benefit of community?
Support.
Tell us about that, Sherry. Why is that important for you?
I don't know how long all of y'all been in business, but this is a new venture for me. So having the support where people can share what they've been through and maybe tips and tricks for how to get to the next level, and have that communication and that open talking to hold each other up.
So true, right? And that's what I love. I mean, you just hit on something that I think is so key. Getting around people that either are doing the same thing and you're kind of at the same place, or a little further down the path, right? I love having people that I can let their hindsight be my foresight. I can ask them questions, kind of you learn vicariously from their experiences. So maybe I can avoid some of the pitfalls and the hazards that they ran into. But yeah, that support is so important, right? Knowing you're not alone and there are other people who are doing that as well, especially in business, Sherry. So good. Somebody else, what's the value of community for you?
Reputation. Your reputation. My business is kind of different from everyone's. And I know when you hear life insurance, you're like, ugh. But I love it. But and just this week, I received a referral from someone's family member, and he was older and wanted life insurance, and the quotes he got were high, and he didn't feel comfortable with them. And so because I knew this person, and my reputation, I can help him, and that makes me feel good. So some industries, the people maybe don't always have a good reputation. And I think to get a reputation is done through networking too. I think that's very important, and that's why this is good, just so we learn about each other. But it's all important.
I want to encourage you that it doesn't matter what you do. When you have that reputation, here's the other thing I find in community is when you see some qualities in someone or qualities in a community that you belong to, what do you want to do? You want to do exactly what that person did this week. You want to share that with somebody else. right? Because the purpose of community is not just to have our tight little huddle where it's just going to be the, however many of us are here and it's only going to be us and we're keeping this to ourselves, right? Our goal is to grow our community, because we know as we grow our community, we bring in, more people who can also add value and get value from that. And so I think that you really hit on something important, that we're creating the right kind of community when we're involved in the right kind of community. That's going to happen, right? Where we're referring and interacting and inviting, and the growth is happening in the community itself, not just in ourselves. So I love that.
Well, and I think when you said encouraging, I mean, I think we need that from our community. We need to be encouraged with what we're doing, and people to also be honest with us. We need some constructive criticism as well sometimes, and the people that we surround ourselves with, that we trust, our community, those should be the key people who are providing that.
Well, when you're coming out with a new product or a new masterclass or a lead magnet, or I'm working on all these things now and I've never done them before. So it's nice to, put them out there and have people give you feedback so that you're going down the right path, right? We're all trying to generate leads. And so if somebody can put another eye on it, sometimes that's what you need to tweak it to the right place, right? So it'll be eye-catching or emotional. You want whatever you do to grab their emotions so they want to work with you, right? It's really based on emotion.
Yeah. I love that. Right. And when we have other people that, are building in, it's going to help us show up in a bigger way, right? It's just going to help us grow and then serve the next person even better as well. And that's a beautiful part of it, as well as we learn from each other. There's a lot of learning that happens inside community, especially when we're learning from the people that are going or have already gone places we want to go, right? Yeah. So here's my challenge to you. Are you invested in community? I mean, we can be a part of communities. I don't know about you guys, but I'm in who knows how many 100, 200 Facebook groups, but I can tell you right now, most of those I'm not engaged and invested in, right? So we can be in community. There's one idea of being in community versus investing in community. So what would that look like for you? We talked about, how community can define or shape us. We've talked about, the value then of being in that place for us to be that way. But now it comes to okay, so what am I going to do with this? Right. So what would investing in community look like for you? And I just want to caution you in saying, this does not mean I go out and join 100 more Facebook groups or communities or whatever, right? Just so that I can be in community and whatever, because, if we're spread so thin, just like the scattered illustration I gave earlier, when little pieces of you are going everywhere, nobody's really getting you, and it's really not of any value. So I like to say, focus on where it's really most going to matter. So what would that look like for you to personally and in your business really invest in community now that we've really built up the value of that? Let's just throw out some, maybe ideas of what that might look like.
Well, I'm in a couple of them that are soul aligned professionals. And we really do kind of support each other. Not so much diving into each other's business, but on a personal level. That really makes a difference. I've been going through a hard time lately, and it's nice to get love bombed from 50 people one night,
Yeah.
To know that you're
good.
And it actually brought me some of what I needed right then. And I just had to put my dog down this past weekend. That was traumatic. And so it's nice to have that community and see who your real friends are when they show up after you've been with them for a while networking.
Right.
You really know where your heart's lying.
For sure. And then to be able to turn it around and do the same thing for others when you're in a place where you can be the giver, right? Sometimes you have to be the receiver. Sometimes that's part of it. And sometimes it's how can I be a giver?
I was always part of the love bombing, but I had never been a recipient. So that was a pretty special thing.
Yeah. I'm sure it's given you a new appreciation for it and a new awareness of how you can do that for others. So
in fact, I have to jump in 4 minutes to another one. How long is this one?
We're going to be done in about 4 minutes. So
Okay.
Yep, we're just kind of talking about, what can you do to engage more in community in a real way that's really going to add value, not only for you, but for others. Anybody else?
I think it's important. Oh, I'm sorry, Carol. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Natalie.
I think we have our network circles, and I think that helps us to really look at what kind of circles do we have. We have our professional circles where we do have to get out there, pass our word, but we're all dressed up. We are in our best mode. We are in that presentation mode, bringing value, adding value. But then I think we also need to, especially in this world where many of us are solo or entrepreneurs, we don't have maybe a large circle. Like I come from a classroom setting where every day I had my captive kiddos, but then I also had a staff that I worked with, so you never felt alone. And I think our world can sometimes be very isolating. And it means we have to be willing to be a little vulnerable, but I think within our circles, we can find those trusted ones that we can kind of like leave our dress up, our roles aside, because we value who that is, and really bring our concerns to each other and get that support. It's not, it's one of those things, admitting a fault or admitting a need is actually a strength. Because if we're always pretending we always have it together, we will break down when we need it the most. And people are like, well, why didn't you say so? So I think one of our circles is finding that inner circle of people where we can take our hats off and be there for each other. Because as we've said in several things here, we have to be honest with ourselves, to be honest with others. And we do have to tweak and care and TLC for each other. So I think that's also another community we need to find within our layers of other circles of networking as well. So
I love that idea, Natalie. I talk a lot about the concentric circles, right? We've got our inner circle of the people who are closest to us. And sometimes we need to just kind of do a little check in and say, who's in my inner circle? We may have a bunch of empty seats that may be us by ourselves, and that's no good, right? Or there may be some people in there who really are not serving us and help, not in a selfish way, but are not there to really be supportive and help push us in the way that we need. And so there might be a little bit of shifting around that needs to happen and creating some space to invite some new people into that inner circle. So, and that's really important. And then knowing, who's in that next circle and who's kind of in that, more the outside circle and what the value is in those different places. So thanks for that. Somebody else, how can you specifically invest in community?
Lissa, I would love to just add, as a former Chamber of Commerce Executive Director, running chambers of commerces, I think one of the biggest things that I heard from our members was, the value factor of their membership dues, if you will. So being a part of a community, whether it's online or in person, I feel like the biggest thing is you sign up for a community, right? Membership network. Because they're like-minded individuals, same as you, very similar backgrounds and where they want to go. But the biggest thing I discovered was that you as a member need to give value yourself, right? You've got to participate and love on the other members and support them and give value and add. And the biggest thing that I found or discovered was that members were not engaging because they weren't taking the time to do it. So if you are in a network or you're looking at communities and networks, make sure that you're ready to give value, connect, converse, support, shower people with those love bombs that Sherry was talking about. So I think that's the biggest thing, my biggest takeaway regarding communities and networks. And believe me, I belong to several as well, professional networks, not only my own community. And I know, Lissa, you are launching or have launched your community, which is amazing, right? But just keep that in mind as you are the participant or a member of a community, is to give value and shower people with those love bombs and figure out ways that you can support others. So that's my takeaway, Lissa.
Which is such a great reminder. And as Natalie said in the chat, value is given and gained, right? And being intentional about saying, I'm here to give value as well as to get it, instead of just to be a name on a roster somewhere and say, yep, I'm in that community. right? That's not going to serve anyone. So I love that reminder. And since we're at the top of the hour, I know some of you need to go, and I want to make sure we honor our time, but here's where I want to put in some plugs based on what Carol just said. First of all, if you are not already a member of the Beautiful Faces Going Places network, I would highly encourage you to visit the website and check that out. Make sure you all save the chat, because Carol dropped that information in there. So right now, go in and save the chat before we start closing out of here. So you've got everyone's contact information. You've got that information Carol put in there. Or if you already are part of some other, networks and that type of thing, really think about, how can I intentionally engage inside of this community that I'm in, and evaluate, look at the communities you're part of, and really say, are these ones that are helping move me in the direction I want to go, or are these distractions right now? And it's okay to sometimes quietly, leave the room and let yourself out the back door and put your focus where it really is going to count and move you towards where you want to go. So, and as Carol mentioned, I did just launch my new community when I got back from my trip. So I'm really excited to do it in a place that's going to be distraction free. I feel like so many places that we go, there's all this noise and all this stuff around. And so I will go ahead and drop, I've got like a special founder member special going on right now, and you get the first 3 days free just to kind of check things out. So I will drop that right now in the chat as well, if that's something of interest to you. And we're going to be just working on how we can focus on the things that matter most and break free from those distractions and demands and that type of thing. The next time that I am hosting a networking event is on December 6th. So mark your calendar for that, and invite some friends into this community to join us. And I know that Beautiful Faces Going Places has other events that are happening between now and then. So Carol put that information in the chat. So again, make sure you save the chat, go check out what other events are coming up so that you can intentionally engage in community moving forward and really see that growth and be the acorn that's gonna flourish into that beautiful oak tree. So thank you guys so much for being here today. Really appreciate each one of you. You've added so much value to my life and day, and I'm excited to see the fruit of what comes out of our conversation today.
All right, thank you so much. Lissa, you are a fabulous host and facilitator here, and please visit Lissa's website at lissafiggins.com. Thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous day, and we cannot wait to see you again. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.